right, we continue to focus then this afternoon on World Literacy Day. For more, we're now joined on Literacy Day, we're joined by Dr Andile Dube, who's education specialist at UNICEF South Africa. Very good afternoon to you, Dr Dube, and thank you for joining us here on SABC News.
Good afternoon to all the viewers and good afternoon.
Just as a start, what is the organization today doing to observe Literacy Day and really the importance of observing the day?
UNICEF globally continues to celebrate the day. We have different programs that we do to just make sure that everyone is reminded of the significance of the day. Like all other UN agencies and partners in South Africa, we join in celebrating the cognizance of the literacy and the value it brings to education. We're very clear of the need for literacy. We're very clear of how literacy actually contributes to all learning that happens. We're very committed to ensuring that quality of education for many young people in South Africa is strengthened. But we know that without literacy, that is not going to happen. For us, the cognizance of the day stems from the evidence that shows that, imagine if you are trying to read Mandarin and you do not understand Mandarin, even the simplest of instructions will not make sense to you. And so literacy means that for many young people in South Africa. As we then go on and think about what the future of education and quality education in South Africa is about, we are very committed to programs that strengthen the foundations of literacy in South Africa.
Yeah. What strides have indeed been made thus far with regards to literacy? And maybe we should talk about the targets that have been set. It's all good and well for us to observe the day, but what actually then has been done, and I'm going to say particularly for I'd say children in disadvantaged areas who'd get the most out of having a reading culture entrenched.
So many children in disadvantaged communities in South Africa, particularly 75% of the system, continue to have limitations in accessing reading resources, in accessing reading programs, in accessing programs that support their reading and learning. We, as UNICEF, we align mainly with the national programs, particularly the NDP, the Department of Basic Education's action plan, around just trying to reach as many young people as possible. So for UNICEF, we are very committed to the 75% of the system that is likely to be left behind. We're committed to the young people children in rural areas, in informal settlements, in townships, and in communities and homes that do not have people who actually encourage their literacy. So that becomes almost 30 million young people or 30 million children in the system. But if you think about the 75%, we are looking at least 7 million young people who have to have access to quality learning and thus quality literacy.
One of the hindrances has indeed been COVID-19, and I want to talk about how COVID-19 has affected learning, especially for children and youth. I'm sure it's caused kind of a setback in terms of you achieving those goals that might have perhaps been set. But of course, some people have then taken advantage of the fact that we've had things like lockdown and used that time to further studies or read more, and etc.
Yes, I think COVID-19 has done two things. Firstly, it has widened the gap for kids who are from poverty-stricken backgrounds. It has widened the gaps for children who are from schools that were unable for the past 5 months to continue with education or to continue going to schools or continue to access their learning through television, through radio, and through online platforms. It has also reminded us as South Africans of the inequities in the country and how they have not, will continue to be marginalized if we do not move with speed. And by moving with speed, I mean all sectors in the system. There's evidence that just surfaces from the World Bank and other UN agencies that has actually shown how much in time the young people, the children from the disadvantaged communities are losing. But it also has shown what this means for their lifetime. So the amount of money they're likely to lose as they go into adults, and actually just by showing that now we are thinking about what are the long-term effects of that.
Yeah.
So if we are going to take that evidence, it's just an opportunity to think about what other ways are we able to bridge those gaps for the kids, for the children. So for an example, as we are dealing with COVID-19, we've tried to have programs on television, we've tried to have programs on radio, on online platforms, but the reality remains the same. The young people from those communities are going to experience these gaps for a very long time. And so we're currently thinking about, and in working with government and other players, thinking about how do we ensure that we bring in interventions that bridge the gap. So for those young kids, it is not just about now the emergency of COVID-19, but it is the recovery period and beyond. But also it means we have to think about how are we going to ensure that the gap that has been created by the 5 months loss in time and loss in learning is actually covered. So for foundation phase also, it's quite difficult because for them to access most of the learning, they have to have someone who actually help them with the learning, whether it is a teacher or it is with a parent.
Yeah.
As UNICEF, what we've also tried is as much as possible not to think about just the kids, but we think about the parents who are supposed to assist the kids in order to access the literacy, in order to access the reading and to access the reading material.
All right, Dr. Andile Dube, thank you very much for giving us your time this afternoon on SA Today. We really do appreciate your input indeed.
Thank you.
All right, that's